Good morning, this is Kris Shoemaker, also known as Yehudah ben Shomeyr, and you're listening to Coffee with Kris, the time of the day where we share a cup of coffee and share a bit of the Word of God. It's Sunday, therefore it's a new week and it's a new Torah portion. It's the Torah portion called Bo. And no, it's not Bo Peep, and no, it's not Bo Duke from the Duke Boys. It's Bo, and that's Hebrew for the word go. And our Torah portion is taken from Exodus chapter 10, verse 1, all the way to chapter 13, verse 16. But today's Sidra, today's Aliyah, is Exodus chapter 10, verses 1 through 11, and we're going to read verse 7 and expound on it. So as we know, plague after plague has just tormented the Egyptians and tormented Pharaoh. But Pharaoh is so prideful, he doesn't want to lose face. And he's willing to take a loss than to take a hit on his reputation. But what he doesn't realize is that pride loses more than just face. So in Exodus chapter 10, verse 7, it says, Pharaoh's servants said to him, now they were probably putting their lives on the line, even bringing this up, even mentioning this, even questioning Pharaoh, because Pharaoh is a demigod. He supposedly is half God, descended from the gods. After all, he doesn't need to go to the bathroom. That's why he goes to the Nile early in the morning when nobody can see him. And that's when Moses met him and caught him in a very vulnerable position whenever he needed to talk with him. But here it says, Pharaoh's servant said to him, how long will this man be a snare to us? Send them in so that they may serve Adonai their God. Don't you realize yet that Egypt is being destroyed? It's as if Pharaoh is so concerned about his grip on power, his reputation, the way that people viewed him as a god. He was so concerned about keeping up appearances that he was in total denial that Moses and God through Moses was totally wreaking havoc upon all Egypt. So it's as if the servants are pointing out the elephant in the room to Pharaoh. But Pharaoh won't have any of it. He won't hear it. He won't listen to reason because he's too prideful. He won't listen to reason because he cares too much about his reputation, his grip on power. Pharaoh's servant said to him, how long will this man be a snare to us? Pharaoh saying, snare? What snare? He's just an annoying little jerk. Send them in so that they may serve Adonai their God. Adonai their God? Who is Adonai? I don't know any Adonai. He's not part of the pantheon. I mean, he can't be that great of a god after all. He's a god of slaves. Don't you realize yet that Egypt is being destroyed? Open your eyes, Pharaoh. Look what's going on. Our country is being destroyed and dismantled plague by plague, and soon there'll be nothing left. Basically, in a nice way, they're saying, swallow your pride and do something about this situation. Because we, your servants and your people aren't happy. You're not looking much like a powerful God to us now. You look like you're losing your grip on power, so you need to do something. So pride loses more than just face. So in our lives, sometimes we don't want to admit that we're wrong about something. We don't want to admit that there's a problem, because we want to pretend that everything's right as rain and everything's honky-dory and nothing's wrong and we've got everything under control. But that is our pride, and our pride will be our ruin. Our pride will be our downfall. Even Satan himself was blinded by pride, thinking that he could overthrow the God of this universe, and he instead was thrown out of heaven, and, we know the rest of the story. So pride loses more than just face. Pride is the original sin. It was the sin of Satan before the sin of the fall of Adam and Eve in the garden. Pride is the original sin. And God says that his heart and his mind and his actions are always against and opposing the prideful to bring them down. Humility is what God desires. And humility is what God was trying to get out of Pharaoh. But it was like getting blood out of a turnip or out of a stone. So, as believers, when something is wrong, something's not right, and our pride wants to get in the way, let's recognize it for what it is. Let's recognize, renounce, rebuke, and cast down that spirit of pride, and be humble and admit and fess up and take responsibility for what's going on, so that there can be a solution, so that there can be a correction, so that there can be salvation and redemption. Don't let pride be your downfall. Guys, thanks so much for listening. Go out there and have a great day. Shalom, and God bless.